Hey, I'm Dr. Laura Koniver, and today I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite ways to treat anxiety, and that is through grounding, touching the earth outside. I've been an anxious person my whole life. I always wake up with that knot in my stomach of this generalized feeling of anxiety, this existential anxiety that I just live with as like a low level hum. And then I have panic attacks, triggers from public speaking, so phobias, and social anxiety. And I use grounding throughout the day, pretty much every day, to help manage anxiety symptoms. So everything from decreasing that knot in my stomach to decreasing muscle tension to lowering my cortisol. And there's lots of different ways that the earth can help you, whether your anxiety is more global and diffuse and long term, or if you're in an acute situation where you're feeling a panic attack come on. So let me run through all the different ways that grounding can help you and how you might want to use them in your specific situation so that you can feel better immediately and long term. One of the first benefits that you can notice immediately is an immediate reduction in muscle tension. So if you're starting to get tense and you feel the anxiety rising and your muscles start to get tight and you start to feel a tension headache or it's giving you that knot in your stomach, touching the earth immediately decreases muscle tension throughout your entire body. There's been multiple double-blind, placebo-based medical studies showing looking at muscle tension using an EMG and monitoring the tension in muscles with grounded and sham grounded patients. So the patient didn't know if they were grounded or not, and the researchers that was monitoring the muscle tension did not know if they were grounded or not. And upon grounding, the muscle tension immediately is decreased. So even grounding through your foot, so touching the earth outside, stepping on the earth with your foot, immediately reduced measurably and significantly muscle tension in your trapezius muscles up here where people hold most of their tension. Another one of the instantaneous benefits of connecting to the earth outside, especially in regards to anxiety, is it immediately alters the way that your brain is functioning. Your brainwave patterns get out of brain stress and go into a much more relaxed, centered, alert, and calm healing pattern. It's the same brain waves that are shown in prolonged meditation. So you're centered and alert and aware, but also calm. And that is the alpha brainwave pattern that grounding puts your brain into. And it puts your brain into that within milliseconds. So medical studies have shown when the brain is hooked up to an EEG, looking at brainwave patterns, and again, patients can be grounded or sham grounded, and these are double-blinded medical studies where both the patient and the researcher does not know which patients and which brainwave patterns they're looking at, if they're actually grounded or not. And immediately, within milliseconds of being grounded, brain waves begin to shift and you go into that calm, centered, aware and alert, but relaxed brainwave state. It's a great place to be in, especially if you feel like you're going into an anxious frame of mind. Another fabulous instantaneous benefit of touching the earth outside, and again, when I say instantaneous, I mean in less than a second, is that it begins to give you a boost to your vagal tone, and that is a boost to your autonomic nervous system functioning. So all of your autonomic nervous system, so your breathing, your respiratory rate, your oxygenation, your heart beating, all of those autonomic functions that you don't have to remind yourself to do, they're just your baseline, they all change when you start to become anxious. Your heart rate increases, your heart rate variability decreases, your digestion totally shuts down, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, and your oxygenation decreases and becomes more poor because you're anxious and you're in fight and flight. Within seconds of grounding, there is a noticeable, measurable change in vagal tone, which benefits all of your autonomic nervous system functioning. So your cardiac function and your lung function get calmed and centered. So you can try this. If you feel like your respiratory rate is increasing and your heart is starting to pound and you feel like an anxiety attack coming on, go out and touch the earth. You're going to notice what we talked about, the muscle tension immediately decreasing and your brain waves starting to relax. But you're also going to notice your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your oxygenation, and all of your autonomic nervous system functioning, including your digestion, becoming soothed. So all of these changes have been shown in medical studies as well. If you want to review these medical studies for yourself, I have an entire page on my website, Grounding Medical Studies, and not only do I have all of the studies for the past 50 years listed there that you can read directly, but I also continuously add to it as more research comes out. One of the studies you may want to read is one about premature infants in the NICU, so the neonatal intensive care unit. It's a very stressful situation. These babies were born prematurely. They're struggling with markers of survival, and they're in incubators. They have to have their heart rate monitored. They can't even regulate their own body temperature, digestion, all of that. Stressful. When they grounded these babies, within 40 minutes, their markers of survivability went up because their heart rate variability got a boost. So that vagal tone meant that they were less stressed out and their autonomic nervous system started functioning better. The next thing to talk about is how this support for your autonomic nervous system actually accumulates in lowering blood pressure. So there was a medical study that showed that grounding routinely significantly lowered blood pressure over time. So that makes sense, because if I'm getting out of fight and flight and I'm relaxing and I'm going into rest and digest, my blood pressure should come down, and that has been validated in recent medical studies. The vagus nerve affects everything in your digestive tract, from swallowing food to digestive juices and acids flowing and enzymes, all the way through the peristalsis of your gut and even elimination. So when you're grounded, you're boosting the function and the flow and restoration of healthy digestive tract functioning, and you're getting out of fight and flight. You're getting into rest and digest, so you're reactivating healthy digestion. So heartburn gets decreased, the knot in your stomach goes away, you have healthier absorption, less inflammation in your gut and in your entire digestive tract, and even elimination can be improved, so irritable bowel symptoms can sometimes be reduced. So get out there and ground, and if digestive symptoms are part of anxiety for you, you'll want to do it routinely, and you may even want to consider going outside and eating grounded. So if you can take your lunch outside during your lunch break and put a toe or a fingertip on sidewalk cement, if you're at a bench, you can just slip your shoe off and put your foot on the ground. If it's cold and it's winter, you can touch metal because that's conductive. So if the metal is in the sidewalk or in the earth, like a signpost, that will be grounded. There's lots of ways to ground in the cooler weather. There's grounding shoe stickers that you can put on your shoes so that you're grounded even with shoes on. There's conductive gloves that are made out of silver, so you don't have to have any skin even exposed to the weather outside. You can use indoor grounding tools, so you could hold a grounded hot water bottle to your abdomen while you're eating dinner every night. Some way where you can either I like to take my hot coffee out in the morning, hold it in my hands, and just sit on my front door stoop where I put my feet on the sidewalk that's in front of my house, and then I just hold my coffee. And I just drink a cup of coffee that way, and it's not that long, but it is enough for me to start the day centered in rest and digest, with my muscle tension decreased and my entire autonomic nervous system functioning in a healthy way instead of in an anxious way. More recent medical studies have shown that the electrical field of the earth actually pings with our cerebral cortex. And so it's not just that instantaneous, I'm grounded, so my EEG is showing alpha brainwave pattern shifting over time, and over time showing that there's less markers of brain stress. It's also pinging with my cerebral cortex to help provide clarity. So if you get intrusive thoughts or you ruminate, this can help break that pattern. The Schumann resonance, the frequency of the earth, pings with our parahippocampal gyrus, which is the part of our brain that provides clarity and meaning and orientation to us. So it's one of the early indicators of Alzheimer's disease because it starts shrinking. And if you have a stroke in that area of your brain, you lose contextual meaning in your life. So you might see, there's people standing there, but you might not know which one is your child. Or you might stand in a parking lot and look at all the cars and not know which one is your car. That is part of the cerebral cortex that provides meaning and orientation to know, this car or this person is specifically meaningful to me. I have a connection and they're important to me. That's that part. And that is what the Schumann resonance, it is cohesive with lots of areas of our brain, but the highest cohesion is in that parahippocampal gyrus. So I find spending time outside on the earth really helps to orient me back to what's meaningful and important in my life and kind of clears out the mental clutter. So I really like using grounding when I need some insight, when I'm in a problem-solving mode, or when I just need to clear out all of the overwhelm. Because of the fact that our brain is so electrically active, and so is the earth, and because of all these benefits, both the immediate shift in brain waves and also the longer term benefits of that support to our cerebral cortex, it's not a surprise that one of the long-term benefits of grounding is improved mood. So it's not as immediate as a second, but medical studies have shown that over time, in fact, in as little as 40 minutes of grounding, but also over time as we make this part of a lifestyle, grounding boosts mood. There's lots of reasons for that. Grounding decreases inflammation, and inflammation has been associated with depression and anxiety in the brain. Brain inflammation, neuroinflammation has been associated with brain decline and neuroaging. In medical studies, it's been shown that grounding decreases not only inflammation throughout the whole body, but specifically inflammatory cytokines, and those are the same inflammatory cytokines that are associated with neuroinflammation and associated with changes in our neurochemistry. So by decreasing these inflammatory cytokines, it's actually been shown that it gives our brain a dopamine boost. So that's another pathway, not just the direct electrical signaling like the EEG in your brain shifting, but over time, chemical signaling like perhaps an increased boost in dopamine. The average drop that one medical study looking at inflammation and grounding showed was that when patients were grounded, their inflammatory cytokines dropped by 10 to 20%. And so that is enough to have a significant, statistically meaningful shift in decreasing inflammation, which I believe is one of the main reasons why over time it helps to really improve mood. So we talked a little bit about how grounding decreases brain stress. Medical studies looking at patients using EEGs who grounded repeatedly, day after day after day for weeks, showed decreased markers of brain stress and improved cognitive abilities to complete tasks and memory and cognitive speed and concentration, all because we're decreasing the baseline hum of anxiety in your brain. And so now it has clarity. We talked a little bit about that as well. And it's actually functioning better. Long term, it has benefits in decreasing whole body stress. And this is shown in whole body markers of inflammation like C-reactive protein going down over time. It's been shown in cortisol, which is our stress, fight and flight hormone, and when that goes up, we have difficulty sleeping, we have difficulty eating, we have difficulty thinking, we feel really crappy and anxious and on edge. And when that goes down, we feel better, we're out of stress mode, and we also sleep better. So at night, our sleep becomes more restorative. And grounding medical studies have shown that when patients were sleeping grounded, their cortisol patterns normalized both in the night and during the day. So when cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning to give us energy, and that's natural, it raised. And when cortisol is supposed to be low, trending low in the evening, so we get ready for bedtime, and low as we fall asleep so that melatonin can take over and we can naturally get deep restorative sleep. That's what grounding did. It lowered cortisol levels in the evenings and at night, and it boosted cortisol levels in the morning so that patients had much deeper, more restorative sleep. More recent studies have shown that grounding also improves sleep quality. So they studied patients with Alzheimer's who had sleep disturbances, and they found that those patients who slept grounded had significantly improved markers of sleep quality. Because of all those ways that grounding really helps instantly and long-term reduce stress and wear and tear and anxiety on the body and really get you out of that stressful fight and flight and gets you into a centered, open, calm, alert, positive feeling, rest and digest mode, which is the daily mode we should be functioning in. And anxiety states should be reserved for life and death situations. And unfortunately, it's generally flipped, and we just live in anxious modes, and we just have brief breakthroughs where we relax for a second or two and then right back to anxiety. With grounding, we can really flip that back to the normal pattern it's supposed to be in, where we're centered, we're alert, we're sleeping well, our mood is improved, we're thinking clearly, our autonomic nervous system is functioning well, our digestion is going well, our muscle tension is decreased. And because of that, there's long-term protective benefits. I believe there's longevity and anti-aging benefits to grounding. So I have other videos addressing specifically the anti-aging benefits of grounding and the longevity benefits of grounding that you might want to watch as a follow-up to this one. The earth is always out there waiting to support you and decrease your stress levels, support your autonomic nervous system functioning, and really help you get out of fight and flight and into feeling calm and centered and relieved. Try it the next time you start feeling anxious. Try it the next time you have a little social anxiety, a phobia comes up, you feel a panic attack coming on. Go outside and at least give it 3 deep breaths while you're touching the earth, through your feet, through your hands, through a grounding tool, and see the difference it makes for you.